Pongo Resume wants to make your resume super fantastically amazing. They can do it. PongoResume.com.
So I had the pleasure of using GoToWebinar for the first time last week, and it's the first time I've ever actually hosted a webinar. I've been a part of tons of different webinars, but I've never hosted my own webinar. Like I mentioned, this was the first webinar I had ever hosted. I've been a part of a ton of them, but I've never hosted, so I didn't know what it would be like. I didn't practice, I didn't even read any instructions. I just turned it on, started messing around. It was that simple to use. I was honestly shocked at how well GoToWebinar worked. One of the first things I noticed about GoToWebinar was how fast and easy it was to set up. It sets up a whole landing page for people to register. It sends them email notifications of when the webinar is happening. I don't have to do any of that stuff. It was a huge load off my back. One thing I did notice with GoToWebinar, and I'm really glad I did this, was that having a co-organizer or even a panelist made it much easier. And that just was easy for me to field questions from people who were watching, to be able to tell me if timing was going well, to write down notes, because as I was presenting, I didn't want to have to worry about any of that stuff. And it was nice to have someone with me who could help. Once the webinar got started, it was easy to get going. The GoToMeeting interface is really simple. I shared my screen, I checked my audio, I could see who was talking, asking questions, raising hands, all the different features that were available right at my fingertips, and like I said, it was really good to have a co-organizer or panelist there with me to help. If you're going to jump out of GoToWebinar and show anybody a website or a video or an application while you're running the webinar, you want to have this open and ready for you before you get started. But I'd recommend closing all other applications just because you don't want notifications popping up and distracting people during the webinar. As I mentioned, I think it's also a great idea to have another organizer or panelist with you just to keep the conversation going, ask the audience what they're doing, do polls, manage all that stuff for you so you can continue to share that content that you want to share through the webinar. When you're building a webinar presentation, you should ask questions during your presentation so that you get the audience engaged, you get them talking, you get them thinking. You don't just want to sit there and spit content the entire time. Yes, GoToWebinar is about sharing information to people, but it's always good to be engaging online no matter what platform you're using. At the end of your webinar, give people your contact information. I've seen countless webinars where people just don't do this for some reason. They say, go find us at our website. Put it all up there for people. People are still sitting there, they're still watching, they can jot it down, they can add it to their address book. It's good to put your Twitter handle, your Facebook link, your website, a phone number, email address, anything that's important for people to contact you, put it at the end and let them know where to find you. One of the great things about GoToWebinar is that it's free to try. For 30 days, you can host your own webinar, as many as you want. See if you like it, see if it works for you. There are a lot of people out there making money just hosting webinars online. As someone who does live video, makes a YouTube video every day, I'm constantly in front of the camera, I'm interacting. I wasn't in front of the camera, I was talking over a bunch of slides, and I thought that might have been a little bit not as fun as what I was used to, but it was fun. I was surprised. When I was done, I was like, wow, 2 hours really flew by, seemed like everybody was really engaged, so kudos to GoToWebinar for making a really simple and easy platform to use for hosting webinars.
It's September, and that's National Update Your Resume Month. It really is. Go update your resume.